What do you get when two guys get dumped, a game show takes over the mall, and Jay and Silent Bob are lurking nearby? Pure 90s perfection. This week, we're talking Mallrats. Welcome to the No More Late Fees podcast. I'm Jackie.
And I'm Danielle, and we're just two best friends and ex-Blockbuster employees rewatching some of the best and worst movies from the late 90s and early 2000s. This week, we're going to the mall, y'all. Food court and non-food court adjacent foods will be
Mid-mall
included.
snacking.
Mid-mall snacking. Because we are covering Kevin Smith's Mallrats. But before we dive in, let's get into some housekeeping. Thought I'd bring some smooth jazz into this bitch.
I don't know what I was doing. I was riffing.
You were riffing with me, yeah. If you love the podcast and you want to support us, here is a way that you can.
If you're like Danielle and I and get a little fidgety while you're working or doing the podcast, we highly recommend you check out myconquerring.com. They are these fidget rings. They come in all different metals, and you can customize the charm in them, and that you can spin the charm, click it. It's highly satisfying, gets that input that you need while still staying productive. And if you'd like to give them a try, you can use promo code Jackie10 for 10% off your first purchase. Danielle, tell us what the movie is about.
Okay. Mallrats is Kevin Smith's second movie, and it's all about Brody Bruce, Sega and comic book obsessed college student, and his best friend T.S. Quint, who are both dumped by their girlfriends on the same day. And obviously, to deal with their loss, they head to the mall. Along the way, they meet up with some zany friends, including William, a guy who stares at a magic eye picture, desperately trying to seek the hidden image, and many other wonderful characters trying to win their girlfriends back. Also, an Easter bunny gets punched and fucked up in this movie.
And a kid gets caught in the goddamn escalator.
Very true. Spoilers. The movie stars Shannen Doherty, R.I.P., Jeremy London, and I won't ask which London this is because I know.
Not the grind out cold London, other London.
The other London.
Yes.
Jason Lee, Claire Forlani, Priscilla Barnes, and Michael Rooker. The movie was written and directed by Kevin Smith, and you can currently watch it on Prime if you have AMC Plus. I got that 7-day free trial and deleted it immediately. But before we start, let's get into our ratings rewind.
So you know the drill. Before we get into the movie, we'll reveal the rating our Y2K versions of ourselves would give. Then at the end, we'll see if our current selves agree with our initial rating. Our scale consists of would buy it again.
The best, would play on repeat.
5-day rental.
Would watch again.
2-day rental.
Nothing to write home about.
Or same-day rental.
Straight up trash.
Ass crack, pretzel crack, trash.
Yeah, I was going to say, stick your fingers in that crack. It's some dirty business.
So Danielle, what was your Y2K rating of Mallrats?
I love this movie. I think I've talked about it a little bit on the show before. I watched this movie for the first time at church. With my youth group. It wasn't at church, but it was with my youth group. Actually, that's not true. We were actually on church premises. We had a sleepover.
A lock-in?
Yeah, it was a lock-in because we used to sell Christmas trees every Christmas time. I now look at this child labor situation and side-eye it. But we used to get really excited about like Christmas tree selling day. So we slept at the church, had a sleepover, and we watched Akira. So I was discovering anime, and we watched Mallrats. Now remember, this is the same church youth group that we also watched at The Exorcist and went to the haunted house.
I don't think this church was a church.
And I remember telling my aunt on my dad's side that all the things we would do at this church, and she's like, and this is why you can't be going to church with the white people. Said, sorry, auntie. Funny enough, my grandma's sister on my mom's side is the aunt that brought me to this church. I love that church. I had the greatest experiences.
I mean, you were watching R-rated films and selling Christmas trees without getting paid. What's not to love?
It was great community. Anywho, after that, I was really like I think it shaped some of the movies that was interested in because
Mhm.
I don't think I would have seen this movie had it not been for that group of friends. Maybe like after I met you, but the way things
Thank
were
God
going,
for church and introducing you to Mallrats and Kevin Smith.
I will say I've never owned it.
Okay.
So I'll give it a 5-day rating because I've never bought it. How about you? I'm not gonna be surprised what the answer is.
So we
As she
just
swipes her bangs.
let me spin you a little yarn, which you longtime listeners have heard on my Clerks episode. I have this theory. You're either a Mallrat or a clerk, and it's typically the first movie that introduced you to Kevin Smith and the View universe. That for me was Mallrats. I am a Mallrat. I love Mallrats. I turned it on last night and immediately started quoting along with the movie. I have written college papers about Mallrats. Unfortunately, I have misplaced those papers. I don't know where they went, and it makes me really sad because it was a 10-page paper on how Mallrats is the redheaded stepchild of the View universe. But I do have, to prove that I did research for it, I have the Ennis universe, the films of Kevin Smith by John Kenneth Muir as one of my resource books. And then this book was featured, the first edition was featured in Mallrats. You can see Silent Bob holding it up in the bookstores. He's hiding from LaFours.
Mhm.
This is Spike Mike Reloaded. And so this was another resource that I used to write my paper. All that to say, I owned Mallrats, still own Mallrats. I didn't have to subscribe to EMC Plus because I watched it on my Apple account.
I I figured it was your Apple account because I was like, oh, she didn't say anything about this not really being available.
I did go and look to see if I had it on DVD. I couldn't find it on the shelf, but I have DVDs stuck all over the house, so it's probably somewhere. But yes, love Mallrats. Introduced me to Kevin Smith. Big fan ever since.
I definitely have a lot of thoughts
I'm
this time
sure you
around.
do. I can't wait.
I had a lot of thoughts. All right, so let's get into the box office. Let's see what we got cooking over here. Okay, so the movie came out October 20th, 1995, and the budget was $6.1 million and it grossed $2.1 million. It opened to about 1.2 million its opening weekend and it kind of steadily fell off. Now, Mallrats was subject to a lot of critical derision and people weren't happy with it. And we have to put it into context. If this maybe was his first movie, I don't think people would have been so upset. But
Hmm.
we have to remember that after the success of Clerks, that's why he got a way bigger budget to make this movie.
Yeah.
And I think the misunderstanding was this should have still been kept as like an indie movie,
Hmm.
if that makes sense. Because this was never like this movie, anybody who read the script should have known this would have never been like a mainstream movie
Yeah.
at that time. I think In
It's
some
for
ways,
a very specific audience.
yes. And one thing I do want to talk about is like the dialogue,
Hmm.
because I paused there, but like I'm trying to think of like the right words. The dialogue, it reminds me of when Dawson's Creek came out, and how like everybody was talking about these teenagers using like very big vocabulary
Yes.
and their vernacular and whatnot, and how it wasn't how they thought teenagers spoke. I could say the same for this movie. I don't
Hmm.
think I ever really recognized it when I was watching it when I was younger, but it felt as if out of all the other Kevin Smith movies, you could tell in the writing that he was trying to prove himself,
He
or
was like
that
trying
like
to
showing off.
elevate the
Right.
dialogue.
Yes,
Yeah.
instead of it, I think that's what made Clerks so great, was that it was so relatable. Not that big vocabulary words aren't relatable, but it almost felt like like every sentence was just verbose and
There
and
was a
bloated.
thesaurus used
Yes,
for every other word. That's what it felt like.
exactly.
Yeah.
Let's look at what was in the top five that week, though, to see if maybe that's why
I
it
have
had
that
trouble.
up. If
Oh, you do? Okay.
yeah.
All right.
Number one, Get Shorty. Number two, Now and Then. Number three, Seven. Number four, Assassins. And number five, Never Talk to Strangers. Mallrat debuted at 13.
Okay, let's talk about let's talk about Lil Raj. And I hate to
Okay.
beat a dead horse dead, but Lil Raj gave this film 1.5 stars out of 4. And
Hmm.
again, he gave Babs 0 stars.
The baps of it all.
In his negative review, Roger Ebert said, "Before Mallrats was released, I chaired a panel that Smith participated in, and Kevin Smith cheerfully said he'd be happy to do whatever the studios wanted if they'd pay for his films. At the time, I thought he was joking." On their television program, Siskel and Ebert Siskel said, "I sat stone faced throughout Mallrats, not laughing once. I couldn't believe it was the same talent involved that made Clerks." He deemed the jokes stale and recycled, and recommended moviegoers rent Clerks instead of seeing Mallrats. And I do feel like Mallrats had more of a film bro vibe to
Hmm.
it, but I very much think what Kevin Smith and why he has this niche and why it works is because he writes about the things that he knows
Yeah.
and the environments that he knows. And this is him. I feel like Mallrats is more him
Then
than maybe
Clerks.
Clerks was.
Yeah. I they're two separate they're two totally different movies. Like Mallrats is more like straight up comedy. Like that's what you're looking for. It does talk about a lot of really relevant topics to like the mid 90s that we'll get into, but I feel like yeah, they're just too like I feel like you can't even compare the two. They're just so different.
Yeah, they are very different. But I do feel like more the movies that came after this were
Mhm.
more aligned with Mallrats than Clerks.
Yes.
That's why I'm
Even
like,
Clerks 2 is more Mallrats like than it is,
mm-hmm.
or it's a good blend of Clerks and Mallrats.
Yes, 100%. Well, before we get into cast and crew, let's hear a message from our pod pals.
Did you grow up with a lack of parental supervision? Do you know all the lyrics to The Fresh Prince of Bel-Air? Remember Mayor McCheese and the Fry Guys? Have an inexplicable love for the California Raisins? Can you remember Madonna's original face?
Then you might be a part of the Doom generation.
Laugh until you cry with us each week as we stumble blindly through the memories of the movies
And other random things.
that doomed us to be the salty, sarcastic, sardonic ladies we want to hang with.
You know us, you love us, you can't fucking live without us.
Doom Generation, available everywhere you find podcasts.
Okay, so cast and crew. Jason Lee was cast with no prior acting experience. He was actually a professional skateboarder. prior to this movie. And Adam Sandler and Steve Zahn were the finalists for the role of Brody Bruce prior to that.
I want to say this on record that Jason Lee should sue Ryan Reynolds for stealing his entire shtick and personality. Hearing that this was his first movie, because when I go back into the vault,
Yep.
I don't recall Ryan Reynolds having the Ryan Reynolds that we know now at this time period. And remember, I had been watching that man since 15.
Well, because if you remember in the Academy Award winning film Boltneck, he was doing like a Jim Carrey impression almost.
Yeah.
Like he was trying to find
Not you bringing up Boltneck, girl. I wasn't ready.
I fondly remember Boltneck for
You know what it is? After we do these episodes, the movies that I hated watching, I have this like affinity for them and nostalgia for them,
yeah.
but not because of the movies, but because we had so much fun digging into how horrible it
But
is.
I also don't think, I mean, Boltneck was bad, but it was enjoyable bad. Like I didn't hate watching it.
It was enjoyable watching because it just was so many people. We had never heard of it before. It just like was a totally different vibe.
Yeah.
But yeah, I agreed.
So like we've seen Ryan Reynolds find his niche, but yeah, like his shtick has always been to borrow, steal personality of other comedians.
Yeah.
Jason Lee is a person and Jason Lee is an actor. I have to separate the two because I love Jason Lee. I think his comedic timing is fabulous. I don't remember a bad movie that he's been in. I mean, he's proven he can do drama with Almost Famous. I mean, My Name is Earl. We still quote stuff from My Name is Earl.
And he can be this shithead of a guy on one spectrum, and then he could be a sweetheart like in Heartbreakers.
Yeah.
So he definitely has range, but he's always him, if that makes sense, you know? And so, yes, please get your residuals, friend, because I would like someone to prove that I'm wrong.
Yeah. Ethan Suplee was cast as Willem Black. Scott Moser was supposed to reprise the role from Clerks, but Smith and the film's producers were so impressed with Suplee, they cast him instead.
If you asked me to point out, I was like, that was a role before? Had no idea. And it wasn't that long ago that we watched Clerks.
In name only, I feel. And like what you come to realize, especially after you watch at least two of the movies, like this world is interconnected. That's why it's called the View universe. And actually, Mallrats happens the day before Clerks, timeline wise, because they are going to the girl's funeral in Clerks.
Right. That's right.
Yeah.
I was like, I need a map.
You need a timeline?
I need someone.
You need Charlie Day schematics on the wall?
I do.
I love this. The most troublesome role to cast was Jay. I feel like that Cardi B gif from her trial where she's just like
yeah. Well, it wasn't that so they didn't want Jay to be back in the movie again. And like it was kind of going back for it. But I get it. Like he was a liability because he was on the Druzugs. But there's no one else. Sorry. Who are the other contenders? Please tell me.
As with all mid-90s movies, Seth Green and Breckin Myers.
Besties.
For the Rusties. But yeah, no one can play Jay but Jay.
Yeah.
Kevin Smith also said that he wrote the role of Jared Svenning for William Atherton, but Atherton did not want to be typecast.
Who are these people? I don't know either. So bringing up Breckin Meyer again, him, Mark Paul Gosselaar, and Tobey Maguire also auditioned, but in the end they were all concerned that Muse was right for the part, which I think is really funny because Tobey Maguire's career trajectory should be studied. So in 95, we have him being kind of in the Empire Records cast and then just like being deleted.
Mm-hmm.
And then him rolling around in Mallrats. He could, if he had gotten Empire Records and Mallrats, I honestly think he would have never been Super Spider-Man.
No, he would have been the indie trajectory.
Yes, 100%.
Which, this is my personal opinion. I don't find that man attractive. He's more indie to me than
I
anything
don't
else.
think that's a personal opinion. I
Okay.
honestly do not know anyone who said, yeah, I'd hit that. Like, no hate to the man.
Yeah.
And I do think that, him being rich and famous does help. I mean, right now he's dating a 20-year-old woman and his daughter is 19. I'm gonna leave that where it lies.
He has a daughter?
Yeah, I think he has two
Oh.
kids with his ex-wife.
Ah.
And he's 50 years old.
Oh no.
What do
Toby.
you have in common with a 20-year-old girl?
It's not
I mean,
commonality.
I know the bras will say, it's legal though. Okay, if that's what you like. Weird, but all right. A May-December romance. For me, it can't be that big of a gap. Anywho, but yeah, like, and I think he embodied Peter Parker because
Mhm.
Peter Parker is way more attractive in the comic books, but he's supposed to be like a nerdy guy,
Yeah.
And it works. But I will say the other Spider-Mans that came after him were way more attractive.
1,000%.
I love how it processed
I
in
was
your
like,
brain. And then
Andrew
it was like,
Garfield.
yes.
It was like Andrew Garfield, Tom, can't I think of his last name?
Zendaya's husband.
Yeah. Mr. Zendaya.
Mr. Coleman. When I say Tom, all I want to say is Welling.
And that's when I went into my
And now
brain.
it's stuck in my head.
Yeah.
And I know that's not that boy's name.
Holland.
Thank
Tom
you.
Holland.
Anywho, let's dive into this.
Let's. So the movie starts out, we meet Brandy Svenning and T.S. Quint. They're getting ready to go on. Yes.
The
Comments
acting was
already.
horrible in this scene.
Yeah.
Horrible. And look, Claire Forlani has a way about her. I don't know what to say. I've always wondered, like, what country is she from?
Oh my
What
God, I was just thinking that.
what accent is this? I don't know.
Coming from like a debutante society, you know?
There's a breathiness of it. Like she not like out of breath, but you know what I mean?
Claire Forlani is not American.
Her father's Italian, her mother's British.
Yes.
And fun fact, Peter Townsend from The Who is her godfather.
Who knew?
Okay, but still, I still can't put like that doesn't
It's the
help
Madonna effect.
Is it? Because it doesn't sound British and it doesn't sound Italian. Where did she grow up?
It's like that episode of Friends where Jennifer Coolidge is like comes back from living abroad with that weird accent.
I love that I put in the Google search Claire Falani and I put where did and it said she come from. Like
we're not the first to ask that question.
It says her birthplace was Twickenham, United Kingdom.
Okay.
So she was born in England and she trained in London. So I guess, but then now I'm like, well, what's the regular accent? I'm so confused.
Yeah.
And her husband's British. She married the prince from Ever After.
Oh.
Yeah. I know way too much about Claire Forlani now. Let's move on.
Okay.
Anywho, the acting was very overacting, and I don't know why.
It
There,
felt, well, this looks like one of her first like major roles.
mm-hmm.
Looks like she did a couple of like miniseries TV stuff. I think this was like her first like
Big
major
movie.
role. So yeah, Brandy and TS are talking about how they're going to Florida for vacation, but Brandy cannot go because her father is hosting a dating game at the mall.
Well, he doesn't know it's at the ball at first, but what I would like to know are the ages of everybody. They kind of throw in college here and there
Hmm.
as they're talking about stuff, but like the fact that he's mad because he wants to propose to her at Universal on the Jaws ride, diabolical. I'm like, why are you guys rushing to get married? And Brody does ask that later, like, dude,
Yeah.
you're still in college. Like, why are you? He's like, oh, I just want to. It's like a placeholder, I guess. I don't know. Mark his territory. I have no idea. But I just felt like they were super young. And in the 90s, I don't think that Gen X was trying to get married that early. Do
I
you?
feel like maybe it was because Mr. Svenning hated him so much that it was like the way to kind of like, hey, you're not getting rid of me,
Right.
you know?
I just never understood why he hates him, but is fine with Brody. Like, is real cool with Brody. Is it
Brody's a
just
charmer,
because?
man. So maybe partly because maybe he hates TS partly because there was an alternative opening scene where Mr. Svenning is hosting a ball for the governor of New Jersey. And in this scene, TS gets his musket tangled up in Brandy's hair, then accidentally shoots at the governor on the roof of a school, which ends up costing Mr. Svenning his reputation as well as a pay raise.
I'm glad that you explained that because there is this, when the TV executives come
Mhm.
in and are talking to him, and they're like, and you can't mess up like at the governor's ball. I was like, well, what happened at the governor's ball?
But it it stands to reason because we get these like little like sidebars that we're like, well, tell us more about the guy jacking off on the airplane. Like or your cousin sticking was it cats up his ass?
No, yes, it was cats to get a gerbil, which
Yeah.
I'm like, so is this why there were so many rumors when we were in high school
Mm.
about people going to the hospital with gerbils in their butts?
I,
Is this
I
the
I
source?
I don't think this is the source. I think this is a joke because of rumors that were
Gotcha.
previously heard. Yeah, so they can't go to Florida. Brandy has to fill in as Suiterette because Julie Dwyer essentially had an aneurysm and died in the community pool because TS happened to mention to her that the camera adds 10 pounds.
But that's not how aneurysms work, everybody. Just want to state, like, that's not how they work. Like,
Yeah.
it's not his fault. And I get what he's like, I get what she's saying that she wants to, like, get her dad to be
Mm-hmm.
less upset. But I also get what he's saying, which was have a little bit of backbone. I mean, they had flights, they
Yeah.
bought tickets to go somewhere. That's kind of insane. Sorry the girl passed away. I think that should have been the focus of all of
I'm
this.
sure you could have like tagged Gwen in. Like, I'm
Right.
sure you could have found someone to be a suitorette.
Which one was Gwen?
Joey Lauren Adams.
She would have been a choice.
But they seem like friends. So if it was like, hey, like we have flights, I can't do it. Can you just do me a solid?
Right.
You know,
This movie proves yet again, because we talked about this in Clerks, that Kevin Smith hadn't found his footing about writing for women at
mm-hmm.
all.
Yeah.
At all.
Well, I will say Renee's character,
Much better.
yes. And she like brings up all of the things that like Brody is overlooking about like what girls want, and like she wants to be wooed, and like she doesn't like introduce me to your mom, take me on a real fucking date, like don't sneak me in after your mom goes to bed.
She had a lot of stuff in her contract, so like I think he really had to step up to the plate
Yeah.
for her, for sure.
So they get into this huge fight, end up breaking up over this because like you said, TS is like grow a backbone, like stand up like it's been a long-term relationship.
Yeah. I did want to circle back and clarify about like Shannen Doherty
Mm-hmm.
and Kevin Smith. So when I say like her contract, I don't mean like the two of them had beef per se.
Mm-hmm.
They actually stayed friends for a long time after this movie. I know that there was some frustration about people saying like that Mallrats killed her film career
Mm-hmm.
essentially or whatever. And that was a joke between them. But he does credit her for getting this movie greenlit because at the time she was huge. You know, she was a child actress from Little House on the Prairie to I like to just throw Girls Just Want to Have Fun, even though that was not a hit.
A highlight of her
It's not, but for me
film
it is.
career.
And Heather's and then by that time 90210. So he definitely always sings her praises about that. And
Mm-hmm.
then she even appeared in Jay and Silent Bob Strike Back. And they, you know, before she passed, they had done a podcast on her podcast, Let's Be Clear, where they were able to talk about the movie and the impact on her career and everything. And then even before she passed, they were talking about a Mallrats sequel. She was joking that she was offering to play the cancer card to help get the movie produced. And I think even Sarah Michelle Gellar said that she would take over the role as like homage to
Oh,
Shannen.
that's so nice.
So I don't want people to kill me. Like they didn't have any problems.
Yeah.
Sorry. I
We
heard
know.
it.
So Renee essentially tells Brody, like, I'm fucking done. She tosses him a note and leaves. And TS shows up at Brody's house, and Brody has framed the breakup note.
He is very meticulous. Like, even though it looks like he has zero drive, when it comes to his comic books, he very much cares. And it was he's a petty king for sure to frame that. But I do want to note one thing I did notice, and now I realize because they filmed in Minnesota for this movie. So
Mhm.
obviously it's very much based in New Jersey where he's from, where Kevin Smith is from, but they didn't have the funds or it was lower production costs, so they actually filmed in Minnesota at the Eden Prairie Center Mall in Eden Prairie instead of the Seaview Square Mall in Ocean Township, New Jersey, where he wanted to originally film. When Shannen is climbing out of Brody's I'm saying Renee, when Renee is climbing out of Brody's room and she opens the window as she's talking to Brody, you see like the air,
Her breath.
thank you, her
Yeah.
breath. So I'm like, damn, it's cold. And so when I saw the notes, I was like, oh, okay. That explains why that was.
Yeah.
She was probably really freezing because she wasn't wearing much.
Those mini dresses, like mini
Yeah.
slip dresses and stuff. So TS shows up and Brody's like, yeah, Renee broke up with me. And then it's, well, let's drown our sorrows at the mall. So head on over to the mall.
Let's go to the mall
Every time I say they go to the mall,
today.
Robin Sparkles plays.
Gotta love her.
So they immediately see a stage is being erected in the middle.
And that was it for me, right? Like with the verbiage.
Mm-hmm.
Because he was like, who's erecting? What are they erecting over there? Or something like that. Instead of, I just feel like somebody would have just said build.
Yeah.
So I'm like, okay, Kevin.
Why are they setting up a stage?
Right. But it was just constant.
And so now their goal is, I don't think at this point he even, because he asked Jay and Silent Bob about it. No, they asked Willem about it. And Willem is standing there in 3-day-old stained clothes. And all he wants to do is see the picture of a sailboat in the magic eye.
The only way for me to see those things back in the day was to cross my eyes.
That's a GIF.
I'm wearing glasses.
You
Ugh.
are. Good job.
Had to take that off, fix that.
I can like relax my eyeball muscles.
Mm-hmm.
So like you don't see them cross, but I can cross my vision. And so like I can see magic eyes immediately.
Mm.
Like even the spot the difference games like
Puzzles? Yeah.
in comics, like in the newspaper and stuff.
Mm-hmm.
I I I am a master at those because I just relax my eyes, the two images merge, and then then all of the differences wink at me.
Look at
So,
all the skills I didn't know you had.
right? And Ken has recently bought a couple of magic eyes. And so he's like, "Oh, look at this one." And I'm like, "It's Snoopy riding his doghouse with Saturn behind it." He's like, I literally just held it up. I was like, I can just see it right away. There it is. So Willem would have been really mad at me because I would have been like, sailboat. But that magic eye is not actually a sailboat. It's just a bunch of different shapes floating in
I didn't
space.
know that. I never
Yeah.
even tried to look at it.
Yeah.
All right, so poor
Poor
guy can't
Willem.
see. Yeah. And I love how there's so many different instances of people that come along the way that harass him like a little kid. When the kid says, "Oh, a schooner," and he's like, "You're so stupid. It's a
You
sailboat."
dumb bastard. It's not a schooner. It's a sailboat. A sailboat
Just
is a schooner, stupid head.
I love that they didn't make the kids cuss.
Yeah. But then he's like, you know what?
The
There is
Easter
no
Bunny,
Easter Bunny.
not
That over
real.
there is just a man in a suit.
I didn't think that would hurt kids that much. Like, I didn't think that kids believed in an actual Easter bunny like they do Santa.
I think they do.
Oh, that's
Spoiler
news.
alert for those listening that still believe in the Easter Bunny or Santa.
But then, okay, what's the criteria? What does the Easter bunny do?
He
Bring
hides the
eggs and
eggs.
candy?
Yeah. He brings the Easter baskets.
Hmm. That reminds me, I need to talk to my mother. I did not get one this year.
So we continue meeting like these cast of characters. Really, it's just like whoever Kevin could write into the movie seems like he wrote.
But I think it's perfect because the same thing with Clerks,
Mhm.
how you're seeing this different, like a diverse group of people coming from the neighborhood into this one place.
Yeah.
It makes sense for them to interact and
Yes.
have that many characters. The mall is the perfect place.
Yeah.
I
Definitely.
I have a dream of
Okay.
having a mall tour like back in the day when the boy bands and people would do those kind of things.
Hmm.
But I like want us to do a movie mall tour. Like
Are we
that would
going
be
to
fun.
erect a stage?
Yes, because why not? The malls need it.
Yeah,
They need it.
it's true. They do. So we meet Gwen, played by Joey Lauren Adams. She is a friend of Claire's. Nope.
But I don't think but it's weird because I'm like, are they friends? Now, mind you, this movie does not pass the Bechdel test, I don't believe,
Probably
because
not.
the only time the girls do talk is in reference of TS. Like, I don't even think Renee and Brandy talk to each other, do they?
Yeah, they have that whole scene about how because oh, Gwen and Brandy or Renee and
No,
Brandy?
Renee and Brandy.
I don't think so.
Yeah.
No, you're right.
which I'm like, they should be bonding.
Yeah,
They're dating besties.
no. Exclusively centers around their relationships with the male lead characters.
Yeah.
So Gwen used to date TS in high school.
Yes, and Gwen is very he's very much drawn as promiscuous.
Yes.
And it feels like her chasing Amy character a bit in the sense of like when she starts talking about the things that she did in high school and how rumors started.
Mm-hmm.
I was like, wait, are those the same? I started to get confused a
Yeah.
little bit, you know?
And then we also learn that Renee has moved on very quickly and is now going on a lunch date with Shannen, the manager of Fashionable Male, played by Ben Affleck.
The size discrepancies in between Shannen and Brody is insane. Like
Yeah.
I remember Ben Affleck talking about how early in his career he was always cast as the bully
Mm-hmm.
because of just like his height, his size, his build. And I was just like, really? But seeing him in that movie and then like how much bigger he was than the other two guys was like, I did not realize he's that big.
Yeah.
Like just tall. He was a big guy.
Yeah. And the same casting director, I believe it was the same casting director for Dazed and Confused, also did Mallrats. And
Which makes
so,
sense
yeah.
because there's like Jeremy, isn't it as well?
Well, his brother was in Dazed and
God
Confused.
fucking damn. I
Yeah.
can't win. So one of them was in it, and so maybe Jeremy was busy. So he's like the
Was
not
like, I
costume, the
got
casting
another
director.
one for you
Yeah, I can
waiting
just
in the
get his
back.
brother.
Yeah.
And who else was there? Anybody else besides Ben Affleck in that movie? I
No.
don't think so.
The movie does pay homage to Dazed and Confused and like Fast Times at Ridgemont High because at the end it kind of does the titles of like what everyone is doing now.
Right, 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 right.
And even the font that's used, I believe, is the same font as Fast Times at Ridgemont High.
I need to rewatch that. I remember my mom would always show me movies as lessons. So she definitely made me watch that one about the teen pregnancy aspect of it all. And I was like, I don't really need that lesson. I'm literally living it as the outcome, even though my mom wasn't necessarily a teenager, but she was still young.
So there's one scene where Shannen has taken, in the span of like his lunch break, which if you work in retail, it's usually a half an hour.
Right.
He's like taken her to the store she wants to shop in, taken her to lunch at the cheese house, and has also introduced her to his mother.
Odd. And he bought tickets to the opera. Opera was
Yeah.
mentioned a lot. I don't know why. But it's funny because the same conversations and the struggles in the dating world that we're seeing right now, they were kind of talking about that as well. Like Brody talks about how to really keep a woman or what a woman is really going after is money. But then you see the laundry list of things that Renee is saying that she's having issues with, and none of it really has to do with money. It's
Yeah.
the intention and him, everything's centered around him.
Yep.
Everything is for him to be comfortable, and he's never going outside of himself to think about anything Renee wants to do. And that is what her main issue is.
I'm going to say something. An observation. I am not certified to diagnose anyone, but
Okay.
Brody, I feel, is very much on the spectrum.
Okay.
He has his hyper special interests, his hyperfixations. He's very like stringent in like his routines and what he will and won't do. He There are rules of the mall that need to be abided by at all times or else he gets irate. He carries around his emotional support paper cup of water. Even the delineation of like the mid-mall snacking versus the food court. It's everything is categorized, and if it's out of place, then like he can't cope.
Right. So do you think that Kevin Smith has someone like this in his life, or this is some part of himself that he's written?
That's an interesting question. I don't think it's him.
Mm-hmm.
I feel it's probably one of his friends that like is, I would almost say Walter Flanagan is kind of like that. And him and a couple of the other guys have a podcast called Tell Him Steve Dave that I used to listen to. But like Walt would get that righteous indignation about like rules and things like that. So I could see maybe pulling that stringency from Walt, perhaps.
Mm-hmm.
While all of this is happening, TS and Brody, well, more so Brody than TS, has asked Jay and Silent Bob to essentially tear down the stage and make the game show not happen. And Jay's like, we were going to do that anyway.
Yeah, we ain't got shit else
Say
to
less. Yeah.
Right.
And so there is a mall cop called LaFours who like they say like has 37 arrests and like all of these stats. LaFours never says anything, but he is the foil to Jay and Silent Bob trying to wreck this game show that's supposed to happen. So we see like Silent Bob is supposed and they have schematics, which I love. And Scott Moser, the Kevin's producer, drew all the schematics for the movie. And so there's like one where they fill Jay's sock full of quarters, and Silent Bob is going to hit LaFours in the head and knock him out with his sock full of quarters to take him out. And then there's a kid playing with a train, like a little toy train in Buy Me Toys, the toy store, and like rolls the train, like essentially trips Silent Bob, and then he ends up like head first into a wall, which is in the dressing room as Gwen's trying on clothes. So then we get a later scene where Gwen is just trying on thongs in the middle of the store while having a conversation with TS.
First of all, Jackie, have you tried on underwear ever?
Can't say that I have.
You don't try on underwear.
Yeah.
So this is just a story device, obviously, but also like what in the hell is happening?
The only thing I was happy about was she purchased everything that she tried on.
But still,
yeah. Yeah, not great.
Well, one of the things that is happening is that TS decides he's going to go and confront Brandy's dad.
Mm-hmm.
So he finds Brandy's dad setting up the stage, complaining to the guy about the carpet. First of all, carpet on the stage? Interesting. He puts his foot through the stage.
You stomp it down like this.
And as he does this, TS is like, where's Brandy, huh? Where's Brandy? It's like, but the way that he comes at it, the dad is so preoccupied because, I don't know, his foot's in a hole.
Yeah.
But kind of trying to make him admit that he wanted using this for Brandy and him to break up.
Mm-hmm.
And he's like, yeah. But what I find weird in this conversation is that the dad starts to continue to go on and says, I know that the amount of time that you guys been together, that you slide your way to try to have, I'm sure you've had sex 1 or 2 times maybe. But like, he's so zoned in about them having sex and talking about it, it creeped me out.
Yeah.
Because even if a dad is thinking that, they're like thinking that, oh my God, this man has probably had sex with my daughter. He's not like talking about it. Super weird. That happens. He strikes out, and
Yeah.
then he obviously meets back with Brody. So, like, him and Brody have side quests as they're
Yes.
going through the mall. And then at one point, they run into what's her name? Trisha.
Yeah. I knew we were going to have a conversation about this. Rightfully so.
Trisha
Mm-hmm.
is introduced to TS by Brody,
Mm-hmm.
and she is in a schoolgirl's uniform, looking grown as 30 years old as she ever could be
Yeah.
in real life. Like, I know that that was not played by a 15-year-old, but it is
Mm-hmm.
stated that she's 15 and that she has a book deal because she is sleeping with a bunch of men
From
to
14 to 30, I think.
write to write this book. And she not only documents everything with like by writing it down, she records them. And the boy, now TS gives some pushback and is like, this is wild. Do your parents know? She says yes, that her parents know. She says that the publishers gave her a bunch of money up front. And she also says that she has slept with Shannen.
Mm-hmm.
And I don't know, like there's some stuff that as this is happening, Brody is like really obsessed with the kid on the escalator and how parents should be watching their children and how he's sick of seeing like every other day on the news that some kid has been hurt on the goddamn escalator. So like that's a whole thing. But as Brandy is talking and TS is asking questions, it's funny because Brody is screaming out things, but it's supposed to be in reference to the escalators,
Mm-hmm.
but it's almost like it's commentary to what Brandy is saying.
Yeah.
And so that is like the only sliver of hope that what Kevin is doing is trying to make commentary on how like gross this is.
Yeah.
And that's just my interpretation. I feel like I don't know if he pulls it all the way through,
Mm-hmm.
but just like where we are right now is insane. And just knowing like Kevin is a devout Catholic
Right.
and all the things that go on in the church and how he made dogma like you could tell like he speaks on these things
Right.
essentially. So
Yeah. I just looked it up. The actress was probably 19 when shooting.
that girl look old.
Renee Humphrey. Yeah. Yeah. So we get this backstory about Trish. We also, we forgot to talk about when Shannen and Renee go on their lunch date. Brody hijacks Shannen, pulls her into an elevator. They
He
have
pulls
this
Renee.
yes.
Mhm.
Well, Shannen is
The
Ben
boy.
Affleck's character. Yeah,
Right.
yeah, sorry. Yeah, Brody pulls Renee into the elevator, has this huge argument about like it's like essentially what we had talked about before. She wants to be wooed. She wants to go and be taken to lunch and dinner and meet his mother. And Shannon's already done all these things. And then she says something about Brody's libido. And so he's like, essentially, like, I'll show you. And then they have like angry post breakup sex in the elevator.
You couldn't pay me enough money to lay on that elevator floor. Couldn't do it.
And apparently the elevator's doors were glass. And so they had
Right.
to like cover them so that you couldn't see in the movie what they were doing in the elevator. So now Shannen wants to kick Brody's ass because he's like trying to move in on Renee.
How confusing was that Shannen, played by Ben Affleck, was in a coupling with Shannen Doherty,
Right.
aka Renee. Like
Yeah.
confusing.
Yeah. So now Shannen has it out for Brody. He, at one point, I think after, so in one of their conversations with Mr. Svenning, Brody has the chocolate covered pretzels and they're melty because he's been holding them for a while. And Brody suggests that TS give him like a stink palm, which is you shove your hand in your ass crack because you can't get that smell off easily. And then you shake someone's hand so their hand smells like ass all day.
Let me tell you, this whole scene made my whole body itch. We already know how I feel about cleanliness. And at first, I will say that TS is like, that's ridiculous. But when he goes back to talk to, what's his name? What's the
Mr.
dad's name?
Svenning.
When he talks to him, he gets frustrated and is ready to about to do it, but here comes Brody to do it for him. And when he is like touching on his hand, touching on his ring, I'm like, oh, so grossed out by all of this.
Well, not only that, but Brody somehow knows that Mr. Spenning's favorite snack are pretzels, and so offers him the melty chocolate covered pretzel with the stink palm. And he's like sucking on his fingers, licking off the chocolate and stuff with some Brody ass juice on the side.
Oh, it's so nasty. So disgusting.
But then at this point, Mr. Svenning sees right through both of them and is like, throw them bitches out.
So they all of a sudden, Paul Bart and the mall cops come and take them out. There's like five of them. It's a lot. And the only two black people we see are these unnamed mall cops.
That's not true. There is one black audience member in the front row that I noticed during
So three black
Yes.
people. I missed one.
Yeah.
No speaking parts, but
No,
they're there.
none. Zero.
And so I think Silent Bob actually puts must be a Star Trek thing. I don't know. What is it like? I don't know why I'm thinking Star Trek, but
The Vulcan death
grip.
pinch.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes. So they knocks those two out. But the cops are like, they're like, what are you gonna arrest us for? And they pull out like bags of drugs and he's like, oh, so you're gonna like frame us. And at the same time that Renee is mad at Brody, she still is running through the mall to find Jay and Silent Bob to have them help Brodie and TS because they're getting arrested or whatever, kicked out of the mall. And so they come through. Jay hits the Paul Paul Bart, that's what I'm gonna call him, the mall cop, with a baseball bat. And
yeah.
then Silent Bob does the death grip, and so they're able to leave. But then they're chasing Jay and Silent Bob, and this scene is probably, I did giggle quite a bit because they didn't run that fast for them to have that much time.
I'd like have a whole conversation about like how are we gonna get out of here? Oh, you have the utility belt and the like grappling gun.
Right. Well, before that, he pulls all sorts of things, like a completely.
It was a finger vibrator.
Yes, that was the first one. But the second one was what'd you
blow
call
up
it?
doll.
Yes.
Yeah.
So I'm like, I don't know what's going on. I really don't.
So because Brody and TS have been kicked out of the mall, they head over to the flea market.
And apparently Brody is very known at the flea market.
Mm-hmm.
And they decide they're going to go see a psychic, but she's different than most because she can only give you a vision when she's topless. And it's played by the same woman from Priscilla Barnes from Three's Company, who ended up replacing
Susan Sarandon.
No, you close
No.
with Suzanne
Suzanne
Summers.
Summers.
And I was like, oh, I know her.
And
so yeah.
So she's telling their fortune, and at first, like she's telling her fortune with the top on, and it's just kind of like the general like con artist fortune teller fare. And they're like, yeah, no. And she's like, okay, well, I have to take my top off to be able to actually read your fortune. So they're like, okay. And she takes her top off and she starts telling their fortune. TS is locked in. He's like, yes, all of this. Yes, you're amazing. What are you doing in a flea market? You have aligned my stars. And Brody cannot get over the fact that she has a third nipple.
Yes, he's like obsessed with it because it's against rules, right?
Yes,
Like you said,
see?
it's all coming together.
It's unnatural. And why is TS not freaking out about it? Like he just like a whole thing.
TS is like, you have a third nipple? And he's like, yes, it's right there. Like, he gets so mad.
So Brody or TS has the enlightenment he needs to go and fight for Brandy. And so they head back over to the mall and it's time for the game show. And to be able to get as many suitors as, or I guess they were supposed to take out all three suitors, and Jay's like, okay, I'll just give him a bunch of really strong weed. And so he does it for two of the suitors. He doesn't realize there's a third. The third is played by, why can't I think of his name now?
The guy from Clerks. That's all
Yes.
I can remember.
Dante from Clerks. O'Halloran is his last name. Brian O'Halloran, I think, is his
I
name.
think you're right.
He has the same last name as Dante. And so it's like they're supposed to be cousins in the View Askew universe.
That's funny.
Yeah. So now it's like suitor number 3 is played by, or is Gil. And then TS and Brody kind of hijack the show and become suitor 1 and 2. And I don't know about you, but like I would be able to clock my boyfriend's voice immediately.
That is exactly what I was saying. I was like, girl, be fucking for real.
And Brody, like, Jason Lee has a very distinctive voice. You know when he's talking. So, like, if you didn't even recognize it was TS, you would have 100% recognized it was Brody's voice, especially with all his weird fucking answers. Be like, Brody, like, I know that's you. Anyway, it takes her a while to figure out that they've hijacked the show, and now she's really pissed. But TS makes this like big like statement of love, and he monologues a bit about how they should be together and things. And so that
that brings them back together.
that
which is funny because like one of the things when Brandy is talking to
Gwen.
Gwen's just like, when you guys first started dating, like I didn't care after we broke up, but as soon as he started dating you, I started to feel a kind of way. See, she was like, yeah, a bit, because it made me realize that he's actually a pretty good dude.
Mm-hmm.
And so I think she was already starting to sway. I mean, like, I don't think she wanted to break up with him in the first place. It's just their cycle, I'm sure, because they can't figure out how to argue with or disagree without it being like all stakes, which everybody does when they're young. So by the time we get to this game show, she's already kind of buttered up hearing from Gwen. And I can't imagine that it's not in the back of her head that Gwen would act. She's like, I might take you up on it. Like that she's like, I need to get my boy back.
Yeah.
Immediately.
So they are reunited now. And then Brody's like, oh yeah, Renee, I want you back too. And Renee, like throughout the day, you see glimpses of like Renee, like giving Brody looks, or like you said, like when they were getting kicked out of the mall helping and stuff. So like Renee is not over Brody as much as she pretends to be by dating Shannen. And so Shannen is like, you're really going to go back to this guy. And Shannon's getting all up in arms about Brody and how he's going to kick his ass and stuff. But it's around this time, Jay and Silent Bob have been working in the background to expose Shannen for who he really is. They've gotten the tape from Trish, and they're about to project it for the entire audience. And so they end up playing the video, and Brody's like, by the way, mall cops. Paul Blart, that girl is 14.
15.
Oh, sorry. That girl is 15. And they're like, oh, fashionable male,
Rest
you come
them.
with us.
That, like, first of all, there's so many things wrong. Honestly, Brody and Jay could have gotten arrested for showing child pornography.
Yeah.
It's horrible.
So Shannon's arrested. Then, like I said, they show like what happens in the future. The execs that Mr. Svenning has been kissing up to all day really like Brody's kind of
Vibe, his whole shtick, they
yeah.
love it. Give that man a show.
Yeah. So he takes over for Johnny Carson on the Tonight Show.
What, like, the thing that I agree with, though, the studio execs are like, we don't even know what we just watched, but it's just like there was nothing original about
No.
this. So even if Brodie and TS didn't hijack it, it still would have, like, they still wouldn't have been happy with whatever this was. Like,
Yeah,
it
it's
was
just the
really dumb.
dating game
Right. Or love connection.
recycled.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So there was no way.
Yeah.
But I do love that Renee, after Brody gets the late, what is it? The
The
Tonight
Tonight
Show.
Show. Yeah.
She becomes the leader of his band and she's playing the drums. I was like, I love that for them.
Yeah. And then we see TS and Brandy did get married on the boat.
And that was not universal. You and I have been there enough times and the Jaws ride to know that was not it.
Yeah.
Good try though. That Jaws in itself looked like a float, like inflatable.
Well, and speaking about Jaws, like there was a lot of homage to Jaws the movie. The names Quint, Brody, and Bruce. So Brody Bruce. Bruce was the
Mhm.
name of the shark. Brody was like the main character. Quint was another character in it. So he pulled a lot of inspiration
References. Yeah.
from Jaws. Yeah.
I did not grasp that whatsoever. The reason why is because you know that my mother let me watch Jaws as a child, way too young. It's my first memory of a movie, and it scared me. So I, to this day, don't think I fully have ever watched Jaws. And I don't want to hear anybody tell me that I need to watch it.
I think
Trauma.
I think I've watched it exactly twice. Once as a youth and I was unimpressed. And then I went to the Jaws on the Water at Lake
Yeah.
Austin.
And how did you feel watching it as an adult?
Oh, it's fine. Like it was
But
not
were you
it's not
unimpressed
scary.
still?
Yeah, like it's not scary to me.
I do understand though, right? Like a lot of the horror movies from the past probably don't scare us in the same ways, but I do understand the context of the time that this was like one of the first things people ever saw, and it was something relatable to them. Like for a lot of people, seeing some mass killer come in, it doesn't feel like that's going to really happen to you, but
Mhm.
going to the beach and an actual shark attack is very real. So I could see how it scared the shit out of everybody, but still, I'm okay.
And then we see Jay and Silent Bob have an orangutan.
Which I'm like, okay, wait, this happened in Jay and Silent Bob Strikes Back where they have a monkey.
Uh-huh.
So was he foreshadowing that? Like I got confused.
I think he just brought it back full circle.
Okay,
Yeah.
gotcha. I was like, that man's a genius if he already thought this through.
And yeah, that is Mallrats.
I would like to say that one of the things that always made this movie favorable to me
Mhm.
is the use of pink in this movie. And I don't know, I just like it makes me so happy to see all
It's comic
this
book
pink.
colors. Oh shit, we didn't even talk about the Stan Lee
Stan
of it
Lee.
all.
Yeah.
I take it back. We're not done yet. So yeah, Brody, obviously obsessed with comic books, has a whole like conversation about TS at the beginning, whether or not Lois Lane could carry Superman's baby.
All valid points. Now
100%.
I will say, like, when I said this movie changed just like what kind of movies I gravitated towards and saw. Some of it also was the comic book stuff, like I was like, ooh, I dabble a little bit in looking at some of this stuff, and they're speaking my thing.
Yeah.
And like not understanding the vastness that is Stan Lee when I think I first saw it. It was one of my friends in church group who like got super excited, and that made me more interested because I had a crush on him. So
So there's a comic book signing at the store. So Brody's already upset because he can't go in and just get his comic books. There's a line. That's where we get the Tell Him Steve Dave. And I think I had them swapped. I think it was Walt Flanagan plays Fanboy. Anywho. And so somehow TS coerces because Brody's really down about breaking up with Renee and stuff. And so TS like coerces Stanley into
giving
talking
him
to
like a pep
Brody.
talk. Yeah.
Yeah. And so he's just like, but he just kept saying like, look at that happy couple there. And Brody's like, I don't know why you're talking to me about the
Why are
happy
you
couple.
obsessed with couples?
Yeah.
Until Brody realizes it's Stan Lee.
Yeah. And then he goes into the conversation about, I don't even remember what it was. Some comic book
Um,
characters.
God, me either. I definitely forgot. I know this is important because
Hold
he's
on, I'll
talking
find it.
about a comic book character. Was it Bruce Banner? I don't know, but he started talking about himself essentially that there was a woman that he missed the opportunity to be with, and
Yes.
he found out that she was married later on in life, and he's just, he doesn't want to miss that. He wishes he could go back, kind of like pushing Brody into that. But Brody does ask a lot of comic book questions, like he asked about Mr. Fantastic or Richards about if he stretches, can his penis stretch or whatever. And so when Stanley goes back to talk to TS, he's like, I really do think you need to get him tracked though. Like he is very obsessed with the anatomy
Yeah.
of most of these comic book characters. Facts. He should. But if you're saying that he's potentially maybe on the spectrum, I could understand there being a fascination of like wanting to understand, and because he's already obsessed with the comic book characters, get hyper fixate on the anatomy of it all, or
Yeah.
like how does it work?
He says that he lost a girl and he went on with his life, but he created special new superheroes. They were characters reflecting my own heartbreak and my own regrets. Like Doctor Doom wears body armor to conceal his own mangled form. The Hulk, a normal guy 1 minute, a rage of emotions the next. So he kind of just talked about different characters and his inspiration for them.
Well, now we've done it.
We've
Now
done it.
done Mallrats.
Some more fun facts. See, originally Stanley was not going to have a cameo in the movie. Kevin Smith had written a fictional Stanley type character, but through a connection, Stanley was asked to be in the movie and agreed. And I also love that in Captain Marvel, it's brought back full circle because Stanley's cameo in Captain Marvel is on the bus and he's reading his script for Mallrats and practicing.
I did. I I don't know if I remembered or like I just forgot. I don't know, but I love that.
I do too. And like I said, one of the game show contestants is Gil Hicks, a reference to Dante Hicks, played by Brian O'Halloran in many of the other View Askew Universe movies. The characters are supposed to be cousins. And interestingly enough, according to Kevin Smith, another actor auditioned for and eventually received the lead role of Brody. On the first day of shooting scenes, the unnamed actor broke down and was unable to give the same performance that had earned him the role, so he was replaced by Jason Lee.
Damn.
Right?
Do we know who the actor was or no?
While doing event appearances as Merle Dixon for The Walking Dead, fans would bring Michael Rooker bags of chocolate-covered pretzels.
I would be so annoyed by that. What do you mean? Because like then I would be like, did they put poop on this? I do love that he ends up being in a superhero movie later himself.
Hmm. Gets to be on you.
Yeah.
The context of the dialogue between TS and Brody about whether Superman would be able to have sex and or a baby with a non-superpowered woman is taken from a classic 1971 essay by science fiction author Larry Niven called Man of Steel, Women of Kleenex.
Can we talk about the soundtrack?
Yeah.
So I totally didn't even realize there was a Weezer song in this at the end. It's called Suzanne.
And there's
Uh,
also a Sublime song.
there is Casey and the Sunshine Band. Squirt Gun opens the film with a song named Social. I didn't know who Gun is. I don't know. Let me see how many times I can say gun. Let's cut that so it's not flagged. And then there's a song called Mallrats by Wax. So
Cool.
there's, oh, and Boogie Shoes by Casey and the Sunshine Band.
Little bit of casting that we forgot earlier. Universal wanted Mike Myers, Adam Sandler, or Chris Farley for the role of Brody Bruce, and Ethan Hawke for T.S. Quint. And
I could see Ethan Hunt,
Ethan Hawke.
Hawk. Sorry, Mission Impossible slip. But Adam Sandler. You know, and it makes me wonder if he had gotten this role, I think eventually he would have pivoted into his stuff. But like I do like seeing earlier roles of Adam Sandler that were written by like other people
Yeah.
where because he's not bad at it. Like he's
No,
not a bad actor at all. I just
he gets in his shtick.
yeah, but I don't know if I don't Brody is Jason Lee. Like
Yeah, there's
there's
no separation
yeah.
at all. Heather Graham auditioned for a role in this movie. Reese Witherspoon also had a meeting with the casting director, Kevin Smith, and Scott Moser, but both Smith and Moser didn't enjoy the meeting and told the casting director not to bother to bring her in for an audition. If you want the details of this, you can read Kevin Smith's book, Silent Bob Speaks.
Or you can check out our TikTok video that breaks down this whole situation because I went back into the archives and found Kevin Smith's blog where he
Mm-hmm.
went on a whole diatribe about Greasy Reese, as he likes to call her.
Yes.
So, yeah, I'll maybe repost that video just so you guys can see that they've got beef for sure. Or at least Kevin does. Or did.
I think he has since.
Apologized.
I think so.
He had a lot of beefs with a lot of people. We've talked about that too.
Yeah.
All right. Well, I think I think that's it. Oh, let's talk about so when I said that Shannen Doherty had some stuff in her contract, you can see her wearing at least three different outfits in this movie which is kind of interesting because this is like one of those day in the life movies, like
Mm-hmm.
one day movies. But she had a clause in her contract that stated she could keep everything her character wore. So she came up with a plan that her character would wear everything she bought.
Nice.
Love that for my girl being smart. Work smarter, not harder.
Just bringing it back to the character of Willem Black, played by Ethan Suplee in Mallrats, but Scott Mosier in Clerks. He is the character who got the Snowball special from Veronica and is one of the infamous Dirty 37 of her past.
Veronica. Who's Veronica?
The ex-girlfriend,
In
Dante's.
Clerks?
Yeah, in Clerks.
Oh, okay, got it. You know, I don't remember anything. If you have any feedback or you have any questions, hit us up at No More Late Fees on Instagram, Facebook, TikTok, YouTube, Threads, or Blue Sky. And let's get into our present day ratings. So, Jackie, now as a non-youth, what would you rate Mallrats?
I will be a Mallrat till my dying day. Still a would buy for me.
Um, mm, I don't think I'd watch it a whole bunch after
Mhm.
this. What I do love about it is how much nostalgia, like it made me want to go to a mall in an odd way. And I didn't even, when we were growing up, I was like, you could miss me with a mall. I was not going.
Yeah.
But yeah, there was just too much going on. So I'm gonna give it a two today. It's just the nostalgia didn't save it for me, unfortunately. I paid too much attention to like the dialogue.
Yeah. Well, if you have feedback for us, please share it via our quick drop 909-601-6653. You can also text us at that number and you could be featured on a future episode. Actually,
Or
I think we have a voice memo from Simone.
we have a voicemail.
Voicemail. And this is from the lovely Simone. She's been on a couple of our episodes.
Dear
7.
friend, love her.
Yeah, Love and Basketball.
She did the MTV Music
Oh, the
Awards with us.
VMAs. Ah,
Yeah.
so good. Okay, here we go.
Hi, good morning. Just finished listening to your episode on Josie and the Pussycats and loved your take on the movie. I do also think that it is a movie that was a bit ahead of its time, even though it was so silly and goofy and camp, I think, at its core. But to have a film be like so like overly self-aware about subliminal advertising and marketing towards kids. I think we need to see more of that where movies should be more like meta in that sense, where it's like so obvious of what they're trying to do in terms of advertising with product placement and things like that in movies. But I will say the one thing that got me on this movie was the hair. I was very, very much a big fan of this movie when it came out. The fashion, the hair, the everything. I was like really just starting my like hot topic, like punk skyrocket phase. And so looking at these like cute rocker girls was like just so like, oh my gosh, like the first time I felt like in a movie that I could really like thrive off of the fashion. But I myself, the subliminal messaging got me where I myself got a little Josie red bob flip, and I'll have to dig up some pictures and send it to you guys. But the year that I had my bat mitzvah in 7th grade, I dyed my hair like this really pretty shade of like a red cherry black and like flipped it up in the way that Rachel Lee Cook had her hair in the movie and wore a lot of like leopard print, animal print. I didn't quite have the kitty cat ears, but I had damn near everything else just to like replicate what they were wearing. Anyways, miss you both. Hope you're doing well. What a fun episode to listen to. Parker Posey just like really being such an unsung hero of the time. So good. All right. Hope to see you all soon. Bye.
Yeah,
Oh,
I
I
don't
love
think we
that.
talked that much about the hair. I think we
No,
talked about Rosario Dawson's, but I don't think we talked about because I also really loved Tara Reid's hair,
I
where
think
she
you mentioned her hair, but I don't know.
I liked how it had like the little braids in it. Like it
Mm.
was down and flowy, but then it would have like these sporadic little braids. Thank you so much, Simone, for calling in and your takes on Josie and the Pussycats. It was a really fun episode with our pal Zach. Appreciate you as always, just listening and being a no more late
Such a
fees girl.
great supporter. We
Yeah.
love you. Do you hear wedding bells? Well, maybe it's because next week we are doing Monster in Law. So definitely come back. Make sure you listen. It's going to be a fun one for sure.
And as always, be kind and rewind.